I'm excited to announce that this episode of the Cole Memo is brought to you by the folks at River Bluff Collective. In case you didn't know, River Bluff is a licensed social equity cannabis business in the state of Illinois owned by three siblings. They invested their life savings to apply for a dispensary license and ultimately won a social equity lottery ball, which allowed them to build up their business with the help of an investment team. They've also leaned into hemp to finance their operation. You can enjoy their amazing hemp derived products like edibles, tinctures, and beverages, which can be delivered straight to your door, absolutely legally, from riverbluffcollective.com. I've also thrown that link in the episode description for your convenience. Many of you might already know that the River Bluff Punch Pop is one of my absolute favorite cannabis products I have ever tried. With a whopping 50 milligrams of THC per can, it delivers great effects almost instantaneously. But I realize that this dosage is a little bit high for most people. So for those looking for lower dosed beverages, they also offer the Bluff Punch Pops in 10 milligram form factors, and they even have lower dosed beverages that are suitable for all tolerances, right? So right now I got my hands on some of their lemon seltzers. They've also got this strawberry acai lemonade seltzer, and there's just 4 milligrams of THC per can for both of these drinks. Perfect for people that are cannabis curious. So if you're a cannabis veteran, you might consider trying something like 50 milligrams. But if you're new to it or just have a lower tolerance, you might consider trying some of the lower dosed drinks. And if you're thinking of trying these drinks, this is the month to do it. For the entire month of August 2024, you can enjoy a 40% discount on 4 packs of the 10 milligram or 50 milligram River Bluff sodas. No need for a discount code. The savings are automatically applied at checkout. So don't miss out. Explore their website at riverbluffcollective.com to find those amazing deals on these amazing products. Folks, you must be 21 plus to purchase, and please consume responsibly. I want to be very clear. These hemp-derived products are not sold in dispensaries. If you'd like to find a place to purchase them, once again, the best place to go is riverbluffcollective.com. But if you're really looking for it in store, at the bottom of riverbluffcollective.com, you'll find the store locator. And that's where you can find a River Bluff Collective store near you. Off the top of my head, I know there's one in East Dubuque, Illinois. So check that out. Have fun. Enjoy the products responsibly and enjoy this episode of The Cole Memo. So, thank you for sitting back down with me today, Mr. Melt Market. That's what I'll call you. I want to just flash this up on the show really quick. I always just display it for a moment. Why is the show called The Cole Memo? You can pause it and check it out. Thank you for sitting back down with me. Welcome, Philip. How's it going?
Going good.
Hell yeah. We're going to be talking Melt Market today, but before we do that, Phil, what you smoking on? Is it from Illinois?
No, it's from Michigan. It's
Okay.
some punch cake from Lake Life Farms.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And Melt Market, welcome back to the show. What are you smoking on?
So tonight I got some Larry OG and some Nepali OZ Kush.
Amazing.
Oh,
Amazing.
some Blueberry Z. I forgot it's right there as well.
There you go. Smoking Symphonia Farms Jack 47. Somebody asked me, is that a cross between Jack Herrera and AK-47? I said, I don't know, probably. Maybe. That sounds about right.
That does sound about right.
Yeah, it's a good guess. Um,
He has that exact cross of Jack Hare AK-47, and I know a lot of people like have started out Nirvana Seeds, so it could be a possibility that it's Nirvana Seed selection of Jack 47.
yeah. Hell yeah. Well, again, thank you for sitting back down with me. Phil is a good friend of mine, and he listened to our podcast together. And we both you know, as we told you last time, are really huge fans of the concept. But we wanted to have you back on to continue to talk about it and like more about like how it's set up and if the risks really is one of the conversations that I wanted to talk about again. But Phil, I kind of wanted to give you the space. You listened to the podcast we had. What are some thoughts or I guess questions that you had when you listened?
Well, my thoughts about the general event is that I love it. Like I love that people are doing it in Illinois. I would like to go to the next one. I think you said it's going to be in Aurora,
Yeah, November 9th.
right?
Fuck yeah.
Um, I just like, and I know like hearing you talk about it, you've gotten kind of approval from like local law enforcement. And, I'm just worried for you because there's a lot of greedy fucking people in this state, and like, you know, I don't know. I mean, I've had people comment on things that I've posted on Reddit being like, this group has ratted out these events, or there's just like there's people that aren't all about positive vibes and wanting people to get good weed from good people.
So that is my number one worry. So with that being said, I've invited every other event promoter. I've invited the dispensary shops to come out and promote their shops. I'm like, look, why don't you guys just say what we want you guys to be like we're telling you what we want from you guys. You guys aren't listening. And if you want to come out and see what people are into, come out to these events. So I've openly invited all like the people that would supposedly be competition by doing other events around the same time period or inviting other companies that are against like the same scene. So I had Rise representatives at the last Mount Market. Two of the other local dispensaries came out and checked it out. I invited them. They were like, we don't want to have a booth there. We'll come and check it out. And one of them was like, look, it's pretty sad that, the flower here was much cheaper and much better than what we offer in the shop. So I've invited them and I've been open with them because I that if I am not friendly with them, I do run across the fact that they might try to get me in trouble or the vendors in trouble. So I do want to have everybody.
Right, and I'm definitely interested to hear that you've like engaged with them on that level. And you said people from Arise were there.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, like he said, I, want to come to the next one. But one of the points that Phil had kind of made when we were talking is like, I just, cracked this. It's a perfect time to bring up the fact that this episode is brought to you by River Bluff Punch Pops. You can get them online. But they're trying to shut this shit down, and this is federally legal, you know. So that's, I think,
Well, and like things never change. Like nothing, cannabis laws weren't going to change unless tons of people broke the cannabis laws.
yeah,
So like there needs to be someone like pushing the envelope, because truly like in the future some kind of cannabis farmers market, I do think it's just so inherent to the thing that it's this plant that grows and you want to get it fresh, and it just seems like such a common sense thing to offer that type of event, that like I'm happy someone is doing it, but I just think this state is so awful in regards to cannabis that I'm just scared for like people that are involved, like you.
So I mean, there's other people doing it around here as well. One of the things that I'm a little bit different is that I'm a lot more open about it. And I put out the address, and a lot of people will say, address given out with ticket purchase, and I feel it makes people feel also safer. And when people look at like my page and they see that, they're like, okay, he's more transparent. He's not really hiding things. So I think that gives a completely different vibe. When it's a little bit more hidden and in the shadows, you invite a sketchier crowd to come to the event, and you alienate a lot of people that wouldn't normally come out to it. So there's already enough events that are trying to be in the shadows. So by bringing it to the light, I think a lot of people come out and feel safer as well.
yeah,
That is That is a good point, but like, because I was talking to someone on Reddit about the event, and I just shared like, I was like, I know we want to think this is all like cool and dandy, but like 2 years ago in the city in Chicago, there was a smoke shop that was doing like a vendor event, and they were like raided by the CPD, and the vendors were charged with whatever they were like had on them, I think. Um, but I just like, there's just people that are not on this level.
I don't know,
And
man.
I just wonder what kind of influence they have to like get somebody to crack down on this.
I mean, I've been respectful to the cities that we've done it in. Like I've been able to do it in Aurora before, and now I want to do it here again. They had no problems, and then and like in the city of St. Charles, one of the things that they really appreciated was the fact that their area got like a booming little business in the restaurants, like the local mom and pops downtown St. Charles. They saw a huge influx in sales. They're like, some of the new customers we got, some of the little skunky, but they bought a lot of snacks. So they were happy. Like, the people of St. Charles thought it was cool to see that many people show up, buy a bunch of food, and leave quickly. And they've done events there in the before at Homegrown Supplies, and they get like 50 vendors there, and they, hang out, have food vendors, eat, walk around, and zero problems ever in the city.
Yeah, which
But
which like does bode well for the events and like for you, like doing it in a good way. And you would hope like if anyone ever raised any hell about it, that like that would be the other side of the coin being like, no, he's fine. Like this is good for the city.
so
Right.
at the last, we were going to do the Easter eggs, and I was going to hide little tickets inside the egg, and it would have the booth name, and then you have to go and find the booth it goes to. I had posted the the post on social media. Someone saw it. They called the city and complained that I was advertising to children. They didn't care. The second and third call came in, and then they cared because it was enough like cause bothering them. So then they let me know, hey, don't do the Easter egg hunt because it looks like you're advertising to children. So I just didn't do that anymore. And they let me know about the complaints that were coming in. And the only thing that people were upset about was the fact that I used the imagery of Easter eggs. That was the most offensive thing about the last event.
I mean, it's cool they have a back and forth with you like that.
They just wanted to make sure that basically there was no violence, there was no hard drugs, and that's all they really cared about.
I'm just worried about like ISP, like the Illinois State Police, because like don't they have jurisdiction over the whole state?
Yeah.
And like they suck. Like they're just so bad. Like lobbying against cannabis stuff and stuff like that. Like, I mean, if there was any enforcement against this kind of event, I would hope that like cannabis users statewide would kind of raise hell and be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Well,
But I post like articles all the time on Reddit just to remind people, I think three of the last four or five things I shared were different articles about people getting arrested in felony charges for different kind of possession limit violations. Like one guy had 11 pounds. One person got a felony charge for having over 100 grams. It's like I feel like it's like just this weird like luck area. Some people are just unlucky and some people are lucky.
there's a little luck to it, I think, but I think then I don't know, man. You gotta have good relationships with the cities you're trying to work with. And I said in the last time, like when I talk to these people, I'm not gonna wear this shirt. I'm not gonna like smell the way I smell right now. I'm gonna show up respectful to the way they want to be talked to. And I think they don't want to know what's happening. They don't want to see it. And I explain to them, and they really don't want to hear it. And they just tell me, hey, as long as you don't advertise the name of the city, you don't advertise heavily on push ads on social media, clean up after yourselves, make sure there's no violence. The big thing is the garbage. That's what they always complain about. Is there's a lot of garbage from stoners, and it's from wrapping, blunt guts, mylars, things like that. A lot of pop. And the last one in the parking lot, the first day, the biggest thing in the garbage was a lot of beer cans. Those are like the most secret beer drinkers I've ever had at any event. So yeah,
Hey, you wouldn't think that.
no.
Well,
You
if you need volunteer garbage collectors, put out a call on Reddit. I'm sure you'll get some people.
Yeah,
Um, I got a great group of volunteers that came out and they just killed it. That was awesome.
That's good.
nice. Did you say you sneak beer drinkers? Did I catch
Oh,
that right?
oh yeah, they go outside into the parking lot, hide behind a car, slam a six, throw the cans underneath the car, and then walk back to the event.
Like all the cannabis users used to have to do at drinking
Right.
events.
Exactly.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, like Phil said, that, that's really, and I had asked you about that last time, but I feel like I, sort of glossed over it a bit because I am enamored by the idea, and I don't know, like I feel like one of the reasons I wanted to have you back on and on so quickly is because I feel like, on one hand, obviously I want you to keep doing what you're doing and I'm going to be there. And we're gonna, maybe even do a live podcast or something. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't have you back on and like had an honest conversation about like just like Phil said, we read these stories all the time. It's like the point of my upcoming mini documentary, and like I really like what you're doing, and it's like it's such a conflict of interest. Like even releasing our last conversation, like I was like I felt conflicted about it because I'm like, man, I don't want to like release this and blow it up and then all of a sudden, because like Illinois cannabis regulators watch my show from time to time, So like,
Yeah. Well, it's
But also people were so happy with the event they're posting about it left and right on Reddit. So
right. I mean, it's one of the
people
most
in the industry
popular.
know about it. Like
Oh, everybody knows. Yeah. I mean, people are very happy about it, still talking about it, you know. So,
I I wanted to create mainly an event that it was something that I would want to go to, and it's almost there. I'm almost at the event where I would want to go to if I read about it. I'd be like, hell yeah! And yeah, dude, like going to like the different events in Michigan, going to Amsterdam, working over there. Yeah, dude, like reading like different books about Northern California in the 80s and the 90s, like what was happening. Like all those things are like inspirations to like make the event better and to create something here that people would be like, damn, I didn't have to read about it. I got to go to it. So
well, and you're talking about like pushing the envelope, right?
yeah.
Like yeah, like kind of forcing progress on this state. I mean, that's, I have a ton of respect for you for doing this and being as open about it as you are, because I do think it is the future, in my opinion, of some cannabis buying. But I mean, I've heard about this stuff, like these events happen in Michigan. I think I've heard about cannabis farmers markets happening in Massachusetts too,
Okay.
like very similar events. And I know, they're like I don't think Massachusetts has a caregiver program or anything like that. So, there's it's happening elsewhere. You're just talking about it.
yeah.
Yeah. Like I was saying, like there's been a lot of secret ones and places that won't give you the address or tell you where it's going to be at until you buy the ticket or the day of the event because they're scared. So I totally get it. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to share like a very short clip just on Phil's point of like why I think what you're doing is awesome, but it's also like right in line with what and I'm just saying like we is a broad brush. I'm talking about like kind of cannabis advocates have been trying to shoot for this whole time. Like I said, this is just a brief clip I will play.
We continue to grow marijuana against the biggest organized, longest standing domestic law enforcement operation in this country, and public policy has changed as a consequence of our efforts.
So low volume there, but good thing there are captions. Yeah.
Well, and like like in Michigan, for example, these events exist because the grassroots movement in favor of cannabis has just been more strong over there. Like they have that hash bash every year in April, but going along with that, they have the Monroe Street Fair, which is just this huge farmers market for cannabis and shrooms. And like the cops know exactly what's going on. They're not hassling people. They're just trying to manage the crowds and clean up the garbage. And
I mean, it's pretty crazy when you think about the history of hash bash. Like John Lennon came out there to protest. Like they it woke up a lot of people. I mean, John Sinclair's over there giving them what, 2 joints to the undercover detectives or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, now we got hash bash. What was it, like 120,000 people getting together the first Saturday of April every year now?
I don't think it's quite that many, but it is a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I was there a couple of years, like over 10 years ago, and it was pretty wild.
No, and I mean, it still goes on, because even post legalization, there's still a reason to be demonstrating for that kind of freedom because you're still not totally free, even in a place like Michigan.
Right. Right. Well said. Yeah, I'm looking for this old poster I have from a hash bash back in the day. It's been going on for quite a while, and it inspired Hash Wednesday, which is something that everybody should know about in Illinois. I'll tell you how to find out about that in just a moment. Thought I had the hash bash poster. Anyways, though, yeah, keep pushing the envelope. That's the whole point. And like Phil just said, it's the reason that this stuff still, there's still a fight to be had, I guess is what I'm saying. So,
And, I see what my vendors are doing. For the most part, everything that I see them doing are things that I agree with. So I want people to, like, if you see my vendors, I agree with what they're doing. So yeah, no one there is doing anything too wild or crazy.
yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, Hash Wednesday, you can learn about it at colememo.com/history. I've got a whole free to view photo archive with newspaper clippings and stuff. You can see, students from the University of Illinois back in the day getting arrested for smoking weed on the quad. I interviewed some of these students as well. You can view those interviews on that website I just mentioned, colememo.com/history. You can see this newspaper clipping was from Wednesday, April 20th, 1988. 420, baby. Blaze it.
Yeah, I'm just wanted to talk about it again. I'm interested to hear that some like licensed operators came and checked out the event because like I do think part of this, like the problem with the system is like people that would be about the melt market are not going to dispensaries,
So
and so like, and they're going to buy most of the cannabis. Like people like myself, people like Cole, like I'm not going to an Illinois dispensary to buy cannabis. Um, and I just feel like if those companies could realize that it's actually like in their interest to kind of embrace a thing like this to try to reach out to that community, like I'm thrilled to hear that Arise came and checked out the event. Am I going to go buy their cannabis tomorrow? Probably not, but it gives me a slightly better opinion of them.
Right.
so they actually reached out and asked me if I would help them with one of their events coming up. And I told them, like, you guys should reach out to these small up and coming companies. Like, they're not growers or anything like that or hash makers, but they're like people that are making these like hash tools and things like that, and like different small companies. I'm like, reach out locally to these smaller companies. They don't have to be what you guys think they are. Just like reach out to these smaller counterculture companies, get them involved and pay them for their time. Get local food vendors that aren't popular, get unpopular food vendors, create good relationships with these people, because then they're going to be loyal to you. They're going to talk really good about you. If you get someone that's popular, they're going to think you only got them because they're popular. So that was my advice to them.
Well, and that's kind of like these licensed operators' problem. I mean, not that they have a problem; they're making a bunch of money, but uh, like I feel like the licensed operators in Illinois have like not tried to engage with the community because they know they exist in this little like walled garden where they can just sell to the people that will choose to come to them.
So
Yeah, I mean, I would hope some of these companies would jump on board.
you guys deal a lot with like the medical patients, right? Cool. Like a lot of the things that you talk about are from the medical side.
I would say like more from like just criminal justice reform, kind of everything where Phil's coming from right now. Like the reason he's on a lot is like, I mean, this is all we talk about, you know what I mean? So like this is why these events are so fascinating. I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, the biggest people that reach out for the event are actual medical patients who say they can't find the type of medicine that they're looking for in a lot of these like shops and dispensaries. So
Mhm.
when they come, they ask me very specific questions and I try to guide them to like my best possible answer. I'm like, I think you should check this place out or go up here to this corner and talk to them. But I was shocked to find out that it was maybe 40% medical patients that were popping up and asking questions right away because they wanted to know certain things for what they were looking for.
Well,
And they all said the same answer. They're not finding it in the dispensary. There's
well,
helping them.
and as you said last time, and Phil, if you wanted to, you just have made these events very accessible. That's all I had to say. So I mean, like that goes a long way, I think, you know. Like these
And they're
dispensaries, they're not very accessible. There are 55 in the state, you know, but you have to go there.
Medical.
Medical, yeah. Um, so it's just not very
But
accessible.
probably someone with a med card in the state is going to be someone who consumes more. It's maybe a little more informed consumer.
True. Yeah.
So that's why I would think they're showing up to an event like this.
Yeah. Hell yeah. How's the smoke, man? Is it hidden?
it's fantastic. This is some Larry OG with some pink Z hash right on top.
Damn. That sounds really good. That sounds
You got
very good.
cats, right? Cole, you got cats?
I got a cat?
You got cats at home?
Yeah. Got two. That's awesome.
By the legendary cat crap, Milwaukee.
That's awesome. Hell
You know,
yeah.
one thing about the Melt market is that I will say I've been really lucky to get some really great talent. Some of the people that come out have now become world famous and they still come to the event. And I couldn't have been more thankful to them for coming out every time I've invited them.
Yeah. I will say, some of these companies, I've always said that they should embrace home grow because they could look at it as talent acquisition. They should embrace these events and you know, acquire talent.
Well,
Well,
Or,
aren't you
it's similar
fishing
to
at,
beer,
right? Yeah.
oh yeah.
like the
Oh,
craft beer really took off after home brewing was legalized.
Yeah.
I don't think that's like a coincidence.
Right.
but how many people are still brewing at home?
I know one.
Yeah.
See? And that's what they realize. They're scared of all these home growers popping up, but they need to let them pop up and get tired of it because it's going to be easier for a lot of these people to just go to a dispensary and still buy it at the end of the day. So I think a grower might grow 2 or 3 years before they get tired of it as they have more kids, as they get older. And their back hurts. They don't want to carry buckets of water and dirt up and down stairs. So they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna go and pick something up really quickly. And the shops need to realize that. Just say you're for the home grow. You'll get a lot more respect and probably a lot more customers. Because no matter what, people get older.
Well, yeah, I mean, I trimmed weed once and I knew I would never grow my own weed.
Yeah, I just downsized my home grow. Like I'm still home growing, but like I definitely downsized it because like you said, I went like crazy. And it's fun and it's really cool, but it takes a lot of I don't mean to like overcomplicate it by any means. You can do it super low effort, but if you want to do it right, it's stressful. So like you say, I'll probably just grow like one or two plants a year, but for the most part, I'm going to the dispensary. Now, is it in Illinois? I'll plead the fifth on that. No, I'm joking, but like, no, because the prices are just outrageous. It's
Well, prices, options.
options as well. Yeah, even
It's
if the
just not
prices were yeah cheaper,
attractive.
it's not a great yeah option. Yeah, not only like the choices we've made this point ad nauseum, but not only are the choices slim, but like when you support those choices, like I just feel yucky. Like these people lobbied against home grow. Like why am I smoking their weed? you know.
So this shirt is for this group called Aurora Cannabis Club, and we would have these monthly gatherings and stuff. And we started to get quite a big little following locally. And New Era reached out. They
I was gonna
wanted,
say I've heard about you because of New Era. Yeah.
yeah, they reached
yeah.
out, and I had asked my attorney if he could find some information about them, and he's like, yeah, yeah, no problem. So he pulls up like the money they lobbied and where they went to and what it was for, and he like basically broke down the legal language that I didn't understand. And basically, they had already put up like 600,000 against home growing in the
Well,
year.
that
They're
wasn't just New Era. Yeah.
yeah, it was them,
Yeah.
but yeah, we had never heard about that. We didn't know anything about that,
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah, they're one of the big they're one of like the main funders of the Cannabis Business Association too. Like ongoing.
Mhm.
so we had asked them like if you guys because they wanted us to basically use their extra space in their dispensary, set up gatherings there, uh, and just basically talk about cannabis and promote their shop. But they all wanted because they were offering money, and I'm like, no, we don't want no money. Can you guys put down in writing that you guys support homegrown? And they refused to do that.
That's insane.
They'd rather just pay us to have meetings there.
Hmm. It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen any, cannabis companies, and you think about it, I don't feel like any other company will lobby for like, things that actually help people. They only lobby for things that like help them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, when you really think about it, it's not like, were you gonna say something, Phil?
I mean, it makes sense, but like,
Yeah.
God, you would just think eventually some company in the space would be like, this really doesn't benefit us. I mean, I guess it does benefit them. That's the problem.
I
But like they
guess.
could drum up a bunch of goodwill with people by being like, hey, we support home grow. Hey, we
Right.
support medical patients being to buy at all dispensaries. Hey, we support removing possession limits. Like,
I've always thought like if you put like something as simple on your packaging that says like a proceed of this, well, obviously you would have to back this up too somehow, but like a proceed of this purchase went towards lobbying, towards all those things you said, Phil. Like I would feel good about purchasing a product again if they could back that up. Um, if that said that, and that was truly the
but
case.
we exist in the state of Illinois where even a normal chapter, Chicago Normal, is advocating for the banning of hemp. So like, I don't know, nothing in the state makes sense. It's like everyone's in it for their own profits.
Yeah.
So I like how you said they would have to back it up and show some proof of what they were doing. So for the first smell market, that's why I didn't want to take any donations. I just had the people donate directly to any animal shelter or rescue of their choice to show the proof because I didn't want people turning around and saying, well, where's all the proof? And I want to sit here to show all these receipts from different people. So it was easier to have the people just donate. And you know what? Instead of people donating just $20 for a ticket, a lot of people would donate 25, 30, 40 to their favorite animal shelter or rescue. So it was really cool to see some of the people that were donating like $100 for like these different rescues. And I was shocked to find out that the chicken rescue was a big donor. They got a lot of money. So people apparently love chickens.
Fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I said this, but I just learned, because I always thought the 5 plant limit is silly for home grow, and I still think it's silly. There should be no plant limit. As I've learned from as a home grower, even growing just 5 plants is challenging. So like I wouldn't dream of growing 10 plants, but if you can handle it, why not? Um, anyways, I am high and I almost forgot what I was gonna say. 5 plant count limit, right? I also found out in this town that my parents live in, they have a 5 chicken count limit. My parents said fuck the law and they have 7 chickens.
What a bunch of badasses.
I know, right? And they also didn't get a permit for these chickens, so they're also really skirting the law. But anyways, I didn't know. I thought that, I think all of these numbers are arbitrary, but it's interesting to hear it in something as normal as chickens.
So what about the places where you can only have 2 dogs and 2 cats, or just 1 dog and 1 cat?
Yeah. I was also reading, I don't know, maybe it was a meme or something, the idea that you can even be charged an extra fee if you live somewhere because you have animals. Like that's an interesting concept. Like
A luxury tax.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get it if it's like maintenance of the house, but like really is there I don't know. Anyways, the meme said it much better than I just did. So yeah, the melt market, man. What was it? November?
November 9th,
November
downtown.
9th.
And I will say that this will probably be one of the most interesting ones for sure.
Yeah, dude.
Uh, the location itself is a very cool vibe, so I'm very excited. It used to be an old luxury car like mechanic workshop, so they're going to open up these old school badass garage doors. The ventilation system they're going to be using for the melt market is one of the reasons why the vendor fees are more expensive for this melt market. Um, I wanted to get the best ventilation system for anyone who has asthma or any medical needs. We want to clear everything out of there as soon as possible. It's going to be filtered, and it should be safe for medical patients as well as the recreational user to be inside there and walk around and not be choked out.
Oh yeah. I
Handicap accessible as well. All the melt markets are handicap accessible for the medical patient.
Very nice. Phil, any other thoughts or questions on the melt market?
No, I mean, I'm definitely going to try to get to the next one.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Dude, definitely come out. Yeah, like I think I'm gonna try.
I'm pretty sure Cole and I both intend to.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna keep. If I can, I'm gonna do it for 2 more years. Keep doing it.
I think if I enjoy myself, I'll keep coming for 2 more years. Sounds like a plan. We'll make it like a hash bash for Illinois.
Oh yeah, man. 2 years of
Melt
melt market.
market.
I'm gonna run for local office, so hopefully I can be on here talking about changes in the local community.
Hell yeah. It'll be cool to look back at that. No, you're laughing. I feel it, man. I feel it. You're
Well,
building a
I
community.
mean, you need you need cannabis people to run for office, you
Right.
know? I mean, that doesn't have to be the only thing you're going to be concerned with when you're in office, but like, you need people in government who know about weed, know what people want and what they don't want. Like, because the laws and regulations are just fucking stupid.
Straight up. Like the chicken count we were just talking about. Like I feel like it takes you to be like high to be like, what the fuck are we why limit the chickens? You know? Sometimes though.
But
Sometimes
you
it
know what
takes
though? I just want to throw this out there too. One of the things that you're gonna notice at the melt market is the variety of things, even from the artist. I I try to make sure that there's not two of the same type of booths in the melt market. Everyone is gonna be slightly different from one another. And so you're not gonna be stuck seeing two of the same thing. And some of the artists that come out, from glass artists to painters to sculptors to fabric artists and clothing designers, are all really badass in themselves too. So I'm glad that people stop by and look at them and support the artists. This one painter was saying she's never sold as many paintings as she has that day, which is really cool to hear. And we got people that say, this was like an average market. And I'm like, damn, you sold a lot. And they're like, yeah, I always do. I'm like, well, that's awesome to hear. And then we had vendors that came out for the first time and blew people's mind. We had cotton candy, and I didn't realize people how much they just love regular cotton candy. So they were just lining up left and right for cotton candy. So people were excited. And then freeze-dried snacks of all types of varieties. Always a big hit. And so there was two groups of people just doing different types of freeze-dried snacks. And yeah, one guy doing sweets and one guy doing savory. And it's exciting. Like I think people really like the variety. And that's what makes people interested to walk around, take their time, look at the vendors, and stop and get some food. The food is pretty awesome too. Um, I unfortunately don't get the chance to eat because if I eat anything during the events, I just sit down and crash and go to sleep. And I'm just like running around back and forth, going to the parking lot, guiding the cars to parking properly. Uh, so there's a panic room at the last one around the corner, and it was pretty awesome to see that groups of people who were done with the melt market would go to the panic room and support the local businesses right there. So that was pretty cool to see. But no, I hope you guys come and see the variety and just to get blown away by the fact that every booth and vendor is different from one another. So I hope you don't get bored, and I hope you walk around and leave with like a bunch of wows and want to come back.
Well, and it's I didn't think about it, but it's cool to hear that you include a lot of other types of vendors, not just cannabis guys. Like there's like artists and food and all kinds of shit
Oh,
going on. So it's really kind of more like a regular farmer's market.
Yeah.
so there's a ferment maker around here, and he sells ferments to this farmer. And I had the farmer come out and bring his vegetables, and I had never tried a candy tomato. It tasted like a Starburst. It was amazing, and he was selling those for an absorbent amount, but they sold out. He sold out of all of his tomatoes, his peppers, his corn, everything. So now I know I need more vegetable farmers because that was a huge hit. So people were excited to see that as well. As they said, they're like, usually we don't get to see a lot of like these types of vendors, but I wanted it to be a big variety. I wanted it to have that type of farmers market feel. And I'm looking for more like food vendors because a lot of infused companies request to be a vendor, but I don't want like they all do the same type of infused treats. So I only need one infused vendor. But not infused food vendors, they're always booked on the weekend. So it's kind of that's been the more harder thing to find is a good food vendor, and then have one that is licensed in the county, has insurance and everything. So that's what I look for as well.
Good to
Well, and
know.
I would even think just like regular food vendors would make a killing.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I've had a few food vendors that say they think the events were going to be lackluster, so they weren't prepared for it, so they only brought very little bit. So yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. It sounds like everything I want it to be. Yeah, it'd be cool to see a little crossover with the actual farmers market because one of the things that hemp has going for it right now. I can't remember where I read this, but there's a large subsection of farmers that just like you know regular everyday farmers that are now in hemp, and that's a big lobbying group,
Well,
and
I wonder if you could get like a hemp company or two to come out there too.
I do. I have had hemp companies at both events already.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
very cool.
They reached out right away, um, Peaceful Pine Farms, and they're like, "Hey, how can we be involved?" They wanted to be a sponsor, so I said, "Let's do something. Let's put you guys out right in front." And yeah, we put them right in front, and they became an event sponsor. Um, yeah, we've had a few other companies reach out to me. Some questionable. Some of them I've heard that they get their product from China that they don't grow it themselves. So I leave those unread.
Yeah.
I found out what I was referring to. So Boris Jordan, who is the somebody high up in Curaleaf. Most people already know who I'm probably talking about at this point, but in case
I
you
think
didn't,
he's the CEO.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, CEO. Yeah, that sounds right. I was very close to him last year at Benzinga, took some photos of him, but was not able to get a chat with him. Anyways, though, apparently on his last call, he not only said April was quote extraordinarily low, the figures that they got in April because of too much discounting around 420. That's what he was saying. But he, Curaleaf has recently launched a hemp company. I think it's called the Hemp Company, in abbreviation THC, which is actually pretty clever. Um, on this call, he said, instead of fighting the hemp industry, we should work together. He said that was a quote. This is a loose quote. He said, farmers have a huge lobby, have the ear of Republicans, not hemp product producers, but hemp farmers who he says have political power. So it seems like, and I mean, Curaleaf is a pretty big cannabis company. That's a pretty powerful statement, I think, with regard to just hemp. And I mean, they literally have a partnership with DoorDash. That's another thing that came out of this Curaleaf earnings call, which a lot of people have been talking about anyways, because they're just getting edibles and drinks from Curaleaf delivered to their door. Um, it's like, wow, this company is also in the dispensary, but
Well, and that's like, something our legislature needs to wake up to is like, you guys are so slow and bad at this stuff that like these companies are finding entire workarounds
right.
to this like CRTA system you want to be like the gold standard. It's like, well, now I can just get on DoorDash and order Curaleaf hemp products to my door because you guys aren't offering people what they want or setting up a means for people to get what they want.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is crazy. And then to try to, clamp down on that is even more insane because it's so easy to shut something down. But God, they've been trying to figure out delivery for years, haven't they? And here it is, right? Here it fucking is. And it's like, maybe just let it go, you know? Or if you're really worried and you want state testing, let everybody go through it. Let everybody try to pass it, you know? That's the way I look at this. Like if you don't pass, honestly, even if you're a home grower, if you're from the melt market, like if you want to put something on the shelf at a dispensary, if you don't pass testing, then you can't put it on the shelf. If you pass testing, then you can put it on the shelf. Like I feel like that's pretty simple, you know?
And people are always asking, like, do you know how to get our stuff tested that we grow at home? We want to get lab results. We want to see what's in the stuff that we're producing. How good is it compared to the dispensary stuff? And I think they should make access to the testing for a lot of home growers a lot more accessible.
Yeah, I had a conversation with somebody on Reddit within the last week or so, and they said the same thing. And I said, like, well, as far as I know, some home labs were offering tests for exactly that. And they were like, no, I mean, I've called several and they're not doing this anymore. And I was like, huh, it's just kind of interesting because, yeah, again, there were used to be a few companies that definitely would let you do that.
Well, there was that company like Origo Labs.
Correct. Right.
I wonder if they just didn't have like enough interest, like if there isn't enough of a home grower community wanting to get tests done.
If
I bet it was expensive.
I'm going to speculate that they were involved in the Chicago Sun-Times investigation, and everybody agrees in the testing industry that we're not going to like let people check ourselves against each other.
Oh, interesting.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
because it
saying?
was interesting how like they popped up and then suddenly they got bought out and weren't around anymore.
Yeah, and I'm just speculating because you can look up on in that Chicago Sun-Times investigation, they published an interview and they're clearly in Origo Labs. And I say that because I've been there and I feel like it's easy to say that too because they've made videos too. So like it didn't seem to, they weren't like hiding it. Um,
Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah. So then you have this state lab that I'm currently actually in a conversation with the Illinois Department of Agriculture. I've seen this lab. It wasn't finished when I saw it. It sounds like it's still not finished, but Anyways, that is not going to be used and will not be used for those purposes, because that's what this one person ultimately asked me in this back and forth, where they were like, well, if we can't test it ourselves, if we can't even access cannabis testing ourselves as home growers or people that are just curious, is this product safe? Will we be able to use this state-based lab? And I'm going to go ahead and say the answer is no, because I interviewed David Lakeman and I asked, will this lab be used as like a sort of audit? And he very clearly said no. And I can try to link that in the show notes. It's a very short interview, and I actually just recently reposted it, but I'll have it in the show notes in case you're watching this at a later date. Anyways, though, isn't it kind of wild just for a second, like that the state is restricting access to cannabis testing? And I don't mean to say that the state is, because that wouldn't be an accurate statement, but it feels like there is not ready access to cannabis testing.
Which the main problem is probably that testing is kind of bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't look at it. I've never considered testing when smoking weed.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing. Not to keep talking about debates I've gotten into online, but somebody asked me about cannabis testing, and I was just saying, yeah, kind of what you just said, Phil. And they were like, "Are you suggesting that, like we shouldn't have testing at all?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just saying maybe it should be a little bit better. But let's also like acknowledge too that testing has never stopped me from buying weed or kind of even really been involved in that conversation. Like, and if you go back a bit further, when paraquat was an issue, like the government was literally spraying a chemical on weed. Did people stop smoking weed? No, they knew that it's like the idea of grow your own. That's when that really became popular. Or know your grower. Don't just buy random weed. That's when that got really popular, from according to the people that I've talked to that grew up in that time. Um, so it's just I say that all to say I got kind of long-winded. That testing, like it's welcome, it's cool, but it's never really been something that I've leaned on or it's been part of the equation. Do you agree with that, Phil and Mr. Melt Market?
Phil, do you want to go first?
Well, just that there's no standard. Like, you had someone on the show recently who talked about how there's no standardization in it. So it's like, if you have no standardization in the testing, what does it matter?
Yeah.
Because the numbers don't mean anything really.
So, I mean, for me, the only thing that I want to know with my testing is like, what's on it that's bad. I don't care about the numbers and the THC or the CBD. I want to know if there's anything in the flower like mold or some chemical residue from maybe some cross like like contamination. That's more what I'm curious about. And as I'm trying out different foliars, I want to know if any residue is left on the flower before I go to try it out. And I know it's not a big deal because I'm sure I've smoked terrible flower before in the past, but I just want to try to produce like the best flower that I can. And as far as the numbers, some of the varieties that hit me the hardest are like 13% THC and 8% CBD. Very low THC and pretty high CBD. So there's that.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Any other thoughts on that, Phil? Nope. Cool. Well, yeah. Thanks for that was a little therapeutic there at the end. Gotta talk about a little different topics there. So, cool. Well, check out the Melt Market. I want to thank Phil and you, Mr.
The
Melt
next
Market.
melt market is
November 9th.
November 9th in Aurora.
Mark your
Oh, yeah.
calendars. I will do that right now as we close. And I just wanted to thank you both for staying on so late with me on a Friday night. So,
Hey, I want to apologize for running late. I got ducks today, so I had to get some duck stuff ready for them.
oh, dude,
That's
don't
cool.
don't apologize. Yeah, that's cool as fuck. What
How
I
many
need,
how many ducks are you limited to?
I don't know, but I got 4 Swedish ducks for the chicken to play with.
there you go.
Yeah.
Very cool. No, no problem. And as always, platform's always yours. We'll be there on November 9th and hope we see you there, folks. Keep fighting the good fight, dude. Thank you for coming tonight.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yep. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Peace.